Okay, good afternoon everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you today? I hope all of you are doing fine. Hopefully all of us will be in good condition. Stay healthy. That is what we need in this pandemic situation. Okay, for today's meeting, we will discuss about human rights and rule of law. This is the first part. For today, we will be focusing only to human rights, the basic concept and the history of human rights. For next week, we will be discussing about the rule of law. Okay, first, we need to know what is the substance of human rights. In order to know better, I will separate the main substance of human rights into several parts. So first, human rights is something that is inherent in humans, and secondly is inalienable or cannot be taken off, and indivisible or cannot be separated. Number three is human rights is the nature of humankind. Our nature as a human, our nature is we have our basic rights. And last but not least, is human rights is related to upholding or respecting human dignity. So human rights are also related to the respecting of human dignity. So that is the substance of human rights. Legally, human rights are the basic rights in forms of demands or claims that can be claimed by law to the government and the state. So any democratic country should put the point of human rights in the constitution, so that the people could be respected their basic rights. Okay, in Indonesia, according to the law of the Republic of Indonesia number 39, 1999, Article 1, the definition of human right is a set of rights that are inherent in the nature of human existence as creatures of God Almighty and are gifts from God or from Him that must be respected and protected by the state, law, government, and everyone for the sake of honor and protection of dignity. That is the definition of human rights in the law of the Republic of Indonesia, number 39, 1999. Okay, we continue. The international formal juridical recognition of human rights is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 10 December 1948. It was signed by United Nations General Assembly, one of the 6 main organs of the United Nations. However, in history, the non-legal recognition of human rights has existed long time ago. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato has said in one of his writings, the common good will be achieved if every citizen recognizes the rights and obligations of each. It means that the common good also related to the rights of each citizen, and also the obligation. And in the ancient Japanese society, also known what is called to pepe, the right to do pepe. Yeah, just like sunbathing. That is one of the ancient Japanese tradition. So the villagers have the rights to express their opinions by drying themselves in a square or alun-alun. And this right was recognized and respected by the authorities or by the king at the time, even though it against the will of the king. But the king have to respect that right because that is the tradition. Okay, next we continue about the formal history of human rights. We will begin by the signing of Magna Carta by King John in 1815 as a result of the resistance of the British nobles to King John to get their right back, because they don't want to be the cash cows of King John anymore. So the content of Magna Carta is really firm and clear about the limitation on the absolute power of the king. And British parliaments after Magna Carta also passed the Bill of Rights document in 1689. This bill or this the Bill of Rights also triggered by a physical revolution in England, which called the Glorious Revolution in 1688. This revolution demands for equal rights against oppressive powers. And this revolution has inspired many revolutions in the world history, such as French Revolution and American Revolution. Both of these revolutions also demanding better protection of human rights. We will discuss about French and American Revolution. First, we will start by French Revolution. French Revolution resulting the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen, or Declaration des droits de l'homme et du citoyen, in 1789. And American Revolution resulting the Bill of Rights also. The name almost the same with the Bill of Rights in England. However, the time is quite different, 100 years different, because the Bill of Rights comes out in year 1787 to 1788. This Bill of Rights in the US also adopted into the main part of the US Constitution in 1791. Both of these documents in general aim to limit the authorities so they are not becoming an authoritarian and act arbitrarily against people. Okay, I will continue about the initial conceptions of human rights. There are three first conceptions of human rights. First is the right to live, the right to life, the right to liberty, and the right to property. This came from the England or British philosopher named John Locke. He was one of the philosophers who supported the Glorious Revolution in England. Okay, after that, the conception of human rights continue develop. The desire that arise are protection of the state not only on juridical and political matters, protection by the state not only on juridical and political matters, but also in other areas of life, such as rights in the economic, social, culture, and other fields. And also, after that, there is the Formulation of Human Rights by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, one of the President of the United States of America, which called the Four Freedom. According to the Roosevelt, there are 4 freedoms, which are the basic rights of humankind. First is freedom of speech. Second is freedom of religion. Third is a freedom from fear. Fourth is freedom from want or poverty. According to Roosevelt, political rights will have no meaning if the most fundamental human needs like clothing, food, and shelter are not met, are not fulfilled. So the Roosevelt's formulation of human rights has inspired the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. There are 30 articles in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which could be grouped into 3 sections. The first section is those that related to political and juridical rights. The second is those that related to human dignity and integrity rights. The third is those that related to economic, social, and cultural rights. So the Universal Declaration of Human Rights marks the first generation of human rights. And the second generation of human rights after the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, also providing greater protection of rights in the economic, social, and cultural field. So not only on the political fields, but also in the economic, social, and cultural fields. The document that marks the second generation of human rights is the ratification of the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, along with civil and political rights in 1966. So this document marks the second generation of human rights. We continue. The third generation of human rights focuses on the right to development, the right of the majority of the people to free themselves from poverty, injustice, and backwardness as a result of development. So in the third world, there are so many injustices in the development program by the government. So the third generation of human rights focus on this injustice. And the fourth generation of human rights, which was pioneered by countries in Asian region. So the documents that marks the fourth generation of human rights is the issue of the Declaration of the Basic Duties of Asian People and Government in 1983. This document marks the fourth generation of human rights. This fourth generation is more advanced because it includes structural demands and favors on the creation of a just social order. Okay, I think that's all for today. If you have any question, you could deliver it in the Zoom meeting. Thank you. Until next week. Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.